The humans are exaggerating again. Counselor Thurzix didn't even look up from his datapad as the planetary alert replayed across the high chamber's viewing dome. Screams, static, flashes of fire and blinking outposts. The kind of panic you saw in frontier sectors when pirates got too ambitious or a trade route dried up and someone decided a weaker world made a good fallback. They always scream the loudest when the losses are smallest, said Thurzix, voice calm and bored. It's always slavers attacked. They took everything. Please respond. And yet every time we investigate, it turns out half their numbers were inflated. Ambassador Velna, the only one in the room who had ever actually set foot on a Terran colony, didn't speak immediately. She just let the feed loop one more time. This time. She caught it. The silence. 4 seconds of it, total quiet, right after the screaming stopped. Play that again, she said suddenly. Thurzix raised an eye crest. It's over. The committee has moved on. Play it again. The chamber AI obeyed her instead. The footage flickered outer perimeter of New Shiloh Colony, Eastern Ridge. Explosions. Slave ships descending like black wasps. Heat signatures, biomass scans. Chaos. Then, right at timestamp 4 hours 13 minutes and 17 seconds. Everyone on the feed turned all at once. They weren't looking at the slavers. They were looking up. Then came silence. Then came static. Then nothing. Velna leaned forward. They weren't screaming when they died, she said. They stopped, like something else showed up. Something the slavers weren't expecting. Thurzix sighed. You see ghosts, Velna. That's your problem. No. Her voice dropped. That's the Council's problem. We never believe the humans until it's too late. He rolled his eyes. What would you have us do? Mobilize the Peace Armada over a few vanished miners and a hacked feed? I'd have us look closer. The room remained still. No one moved, because they all knew what she was implying, and none of them wanted to say it. Someone else had responded to the humans. Distress call. And it wasn't the Council. Meanwhile, on the edge of known space, Captain Reese Halden stood on the observation deck of the Farside Phantom, watching the burnt sky over New Shiloh from orbit. No words. No orders. Just the slow turn of the planet, still bleeding light through torn atmosphere. They hit hard, his XO muttered. Slavers used reinforced hulls. Burned through surface defenses in less than 2 minutes. Reese nodded. They always do. But the logs show they didn't leave. That caught his attention. He turned. What? They didn't leave. His XO repeated. Ships landed. Took what they wanted. And then just stopped. No departure signal. No warp trails. No ejection events. Just dead silence. Scanners can't find a trace of them. Reese blinked. The Farside Phantom wasn't a warship. It wasn't supposed to be on the front lines, but he'd known what was happening before the orders ever came. The disappearances. The hush spreading across border colonies. Slavers getting bolder. He also knew what Earth didn't talk about. Run. A passive scan, he ordered. Low bandwidth, no active ping. His XO looked hesitant. Sir, if there's something still down there, just do it. They ran it. The scanner made one slow pass over the lower hemisphere, brushing the charred edge of New Shiloh's horizon. And then it, CHIRPED.1 return signal, faint, old code, encrypted with an Earthside signature that hadn't been used in over 30 years. Reese stared. He knew that code. He'd seen it once buried in Terran defense archives, long before Earth was part of the Concord, before the trade deals, before the peace, back when humans were still trying to figure out how to survive. Get me visuals, now. The screen lit. The canyon where the slavers landed was empty, except for one shape, one human, standing alone. No armor, no insignia, just A long black coat and an old Earth service rifle slung low. She wasn't moving. She didn't need to, because around her, melted into the stone, were the remains of 12 slaver dropships, twisted metal, disintegrated hulls, weapons turned inward like they'd backfired through their own cores. Reese didn't breathe. Zoom in, he whispered. The image sharpened. She had no helmet. No badge. Just one symbol stitched across the coat's collar. Broken chain. That was it. No name. No rank. Just the old Terran mark reserved for a single purpose. Retaliation. Double quotes. Who the hell is that? His exo whispered. Reese stared, jaw clenched. I don't know. He tapped into encrypted command logs, reviewed the old threat protocol registry, and found one match. Tactical. Agent. Call sign Ghost 7 status. Disavowed. Directive. Unauthorized engagement of slaver forces. Last seen 28 years ago. Reese looked back. At the screen. She came back, he murmured. His exo frowned. For what? The woman below finally turned her head, straight toward orbit. Straight toward them, and smiled. That was when the comms lit up across 50 ships, across 5 systems. A single message bounced off an ancient Earth satellite. We found them. We're not asking permission. And we're not leaving survivors. Reese took one step back from the console, because this wasn't a war. It was the answer to one. And that was before Earth even responded. The lights in Terran's strategic command were low by design. Soft shadows, dampened panels, no windows. Deep under the Atlantic, surrounded by stone, silence, and fiber optic nerves thicker than arms, Admiral Nyra Voigt stood at the center of the ops ring, staring at a map of the outer colonies. Red lights blinked, some pulsed. One had gone dark entirely. New Shiloh. But that wasn't what had her attention. It was what came after. Bring up EchoNet intercepts. She said. Her aide younger still rattled, nodded, and keyed it in. One by one, grainy signals layered the display. Not military broadcasts, not even slaver chatter. Just fragments. A ghost song of fear. Vessel never landed, it just hovered. They stopped shooting. They started screaming. I think they turned on each other. Their eye just broke. There was a symbol, a chain, a broken chain. Nara narrowed her eyes. She'd seen that mark before. And it wasn't from any current Terran division. Ma'am, the aide whispered, are we sending ships? No. Why not? Because they're already there. He blinked. But Earth hasn't authorized. She turned. Cold, steady. We didn't need to authorize anything. You think the kind of people who wear that symbol wait for permission? She walked toward the command console, keyed in a manual override, and opened the one file she'd locked away even from herself. Black file, designation, Ghost Initiative accessing. Warning, disavowed operatives. Containment not guaranteed. She SCROLED. Each profile was grayed out, marked Keyer or lost in field. Except one. Unit 7 active status, unconfirmed. Activity detected. Sector Juno X, New Shiloh. She exhaled. The ghosts weren't a myth. They were Earth's last answer to an enemy that never negotiated. Slavers. Pirates. Entities that dealt in pain and pretended it was currency. And once, Earth had tried diplomacy, but now, humanity wasn't talking anymore. It was remembering. Far away on the rim of the Dexori Drift, a slaver fleet floated quiet over a small mining world called Orvena -3. 10 ships. Crewed by the Malrish Syndicate, once feared, now jittery, because their outpost on Varlos Prime had gone silent 2 days ago. So had their comm relays, their patrol escorts, their backups. Even the contractors who funnel their product to council-run auction houses. Gone. And now, above Orvena 3, their captain was panicking. "We move now," said Skarn, a six-limbed horror built from bone and reinforced skin. "Load the cells. Jettison the bait. We're pulling out." "But the harvest," one officer started. Skarn grabbed him by the throat. "They're coming," he hissed. "Don't you get it?" "I heard the message." "What message?" He stared. "At the VIEWSCREEN dot at the blank void where stars should be. We found them. We're not asking permission. And we're not leaving, survivors." Skarn's grip loosened slightly. "I saw them once, decades ago. Humans with no ranks, no laws, just fury in their eyes. They didn't fight like soldiers. They fought like they'd already died." Another crew member approached. "Sir, incoming." Object: Skarn spun. Ship: no, small pod. Non-lethal configuration. Trajectory direct. Skarn's blood chilled. "Scan it." They did. It's broadcasting. An Earthside code. Civilian class. What's the message? The officer's skin paled. He played the audio. Just one line. A child's voice. "Run." Then the pod exploded harmlessly, but it wasn't about damage. It was about announcement. Right behind it. A ripple in subspace. 2 Terran vessels dropped from warp. They weren't military. Not on paper. No call signs. No serials. No visible weapons. But every slaver on that ship knew the ghosts had arrived. In the chaos that followed, there were no records. No comms got out. No survivors were recovered. Just black boxes, later recovered by scavengers, each containing corrupted logs and a flickering frame. A woman in a coat. No insignia, just a chain split down the middle across her shoulder, and her voice. "You traffic in fear. Now feel what you sell." The slaver syndicates began to fall, one by one. Not in war. In cleansing, and back in strategic command, Admiral Nyra stood in silence as more red lights vanished off the map. Not from enemy fire, from untraceable resolution. Her aide finally broke the silence. "Should we recall them?" She didn't look. "Away from the map. They're not ours to recall." He hesitated. "Then what do?" She turned. "We update our doctrine." He frowned. "To what?" Her eyes were cold as orbit. "To remind the galaxy what silence really meant." The lights dimmed. The map pulsed. And the chain kept breaking. Across every system that once whispered, "Humans are weak," only one word remained: "Run." And this time, the entire galaxy listened. He called himself the Collector. No name, no species origin. Just wealth, ships, thousands of slaves spread across 14 bonded worlds and 300 auction routes. If flesh was currency, the Collector was the banker. And tonight, in the velvet black towers of Junder Prime, he held court. The guests arrived in silence, escorted by bodyguards made of biometal and dark promise. Council defectors, unaffiliated warlords, syndicate leaders. Even a few Concord officials in cloaks too clean to be honest. The war room shimmered with luxury gold-veined stone, starlight chandeliers, and a meeting table curved like a predator's. Smile. The Collector stood at its center, arms outstretched. "They are just humans," he said, voice like molasses over razors. "And yet, they have carved through 6 of our trade sectors in 4 days." No one responded. He let the silence hang like a noose. "Ghosts," he continued. "That's what they're calling them. Ex-military, rogue units. The Terrans disavow them, but we all know the truth." He turned slowly, eyeing each face. "This is Earth's quiet war." A Cathari admiral leaned forward, mandibles clacking. "If they want war, let us give it. We have more ships, more reach. We built the trade networks they now dare sabotage." The Collector smiled faintly. "You misunderstand. This isn't a war. It's a hunt. And we are the prey." That silenced the room again. A Drex diplomat stood next, trembling. They took out Varlos without weapons. Shut down every system before their boots even landed. Our crew turned on itself. One by one. No sign of external override. Because they didn't use tech, the collector said. They used fear. He tapped the screen. A dozen frames lit up. Everyone showed the same thing. A Terran in a black coat. Different people. Different faces. But all marked by the same insignia stitched over the chest. A chain. Split down the center. Do you know what this is? He asked. No one answered. He tapped again, and history unfolded. The screen played ancient footage, grainy, sharpened from old Terran records. A field. Broken cities. Smoldering outposts. A child's voice narrated. They came in the night. Took families. Took friends. Took names. Images flashed slave pits. Shackled lines. Auction houses bearing banners that weren't alien, but Terran. The collector's voice dipped. The Ghost Initiative began after the fall of the 9th colony. When Earth realized the Council wouldn't help, they stopped asking. More footage. Black Ops units training in silence, in deserts, underground bunkers, space stations that didn't officially exist. They trained in secret, lived in shadow. And when they vanished from Earth's grid, they didn't die. He looked up. They just waited. An alarm blinked. One light, then two. Then all of them. Tower's entire outer perimeter went red. The collector frowned. Is this real? Unknown intruder detected. A guard barked. No ship logged, no entry breach. They're just here. Who? The lights flickered. Cameras failed. Then came the message. Every screen in the tower went black, then lit up with a single line of white text. Debt collected. And then the lights died. For 10 full seconds, no one moved. Then the west wall exploded. Inward. Not from a bomb. From silence. The wind from space shredded gravity. Vacuum folding over itself howled through the chamber. A single figure stood in the breach. Black coat. No mask. Hair dark. Eyes locked. The collector stepped back. You? She. Didn't answer. One of the guards opened fire. She moved once. That was all. The bolt didn't even reach her. It turned mid-air, redirected by a magnetic pulse no one saw coming, and struck the guard in the throat. Chaos. But she didn't flinch. She walked forward. One shot. One step. One scream. 12 guards fell before she reached the table. The council. Representatives tried to run. The walls closed. Not physically. Digitally. Every exit sealed by code. The collector raised his hand. I can give you names, routes, everything. Just don't. She raised her rifle. Paused. And then said only this, your turn. And pulled the trigger. The blast wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It made a point. When the lights came back, she was gone, but so was the room. No tower, no survivors, no warlords, no council shields, just vapor and ash. And across Junder Prime, across all nearby systems, the message rang out on old Terran frequency. You sell people. We find you. You build chains. We break them. The collector's empire died in a single night. And from that point forward, every slaver in the galaxy began to run. But there was nowhere left to hide, because humanity had uncovered the truth. And the ghosts were real. The feed was never meant to leak, but 22 seconds of it made it to the outer net before anyone could stop it. No credits. No source tags. Just a silent hallway, flickering lights, and 5 figures moving through a high-security Concord logistics center with weapons slung low and eyes colder than vacuum. They didn't speak, didn't shout, didn't ask for surrender. They just walked. And the guards who saw them never had the chance to raise alarms. 22 seconds. It was enough for the galaxy to see the truth, and for the slavers to feel it like a pulse beneath the floorboards. Back on Earth, Inside Terran Defense. Archives Level 9 Black Access Agent Oren Halleck leaned over the same footage, looping it again and again. Playback at 0.25 speed. He said. His assistant obliged. The ghosts moved with clinical Grace 1 checking corners. One disabling automated turrets, one placing a signal jammer the size of a thumbnail on the ceiling. But it wasn't the tactics that held Oren's breath. It was the eyes. The woman in front. She wasn't angry. She was empty. A quiet kind of fury processed, bottled, and turned into strategy. They trained for vengeance, Oren whispered, then waited for a reason. His assistant didn't answer, didn't need to, because that same hallway had once been his prison. 10 years ago, he'd been taken by rogue Concord contractors running a slave exchange between outer colonies and aristocratic worlds. Smart, quiet kids were worth more, especially human ones. Especially the ones who didn't scream when tested. And now, he leaned back from the feed. They found them. 15 light years away, inside a fortress disguised as a Concord cargo. Route distributor, Administrator Helvin paced. We have immunity, he said to no one in particular. Council signatures, political treaties, trade protections. His voice was starting to crack. You can't just erase systems because you disagree. His bodyguard, an armored Kirellian named Drusk, said nothing. The door hissed open. A Concord envoy entered, pale and visibly shaken. They're inside. Helvin froze. Who? The envoy didn't answer. He just played a message. It came from the internal intercom. Terran standard accent. No distortion. Just calm. One chance. Open the vaults. Release the children. Lay down your arms. We won't. Give it twice. Helvin shook. This isn't war, he hissed. No, Drusk replied. It's judgment. The floor VIBRATD. Not an explosion. Something worse. System. Override. The power grid shut down. Turrets spun the wrong direction. Security doors sealed inward. Then silence. Then. The chain. They didn't knock. They just arrived. Helvin watched the security feed as a black-coated ghost moved through the second floor. No armor. No insignia. Just the symbol glowing faintly on her collar. The broken chain. She didn't look up. Just raised one hand. And every light along the corridor went dark as if obeying a command. She sees us. Helvin whispered. Then the screen blinked out. Gunfire. Screams. Then. Silence again. Oren Halleck watched it all from Earth, his hand clenching the edge of the table. Zoomed to camera 5. He said. It played. And they're clear. In the background stood a line of children. Not dead. Alive. Untouched. And in front of them, holding a Terran standard shield emitter that hadn't been produced in 70 years, was a man with one cybernetic arm and a coat stitched with 13 campaign ribbons. Ghost. 4. Missing since the siege of Caro Station. Presumed dead. Now shielding children from plasma rounds with a hand that had once leveled. Entire battalions. He wasn't fighting. He was guarding. That's what broke Oren's voice. They're not just erasing slavers, he said. They're saving the ones we forgot. The feed blinked out. Moments later, news broke galaxy-wide. The Concord Vault Center had been emptied. Every child recovered. No deaths among hostages. All slaver staff. Gone. No body count. No warning. Just absence. The message was clearer than any speech. They took our future. We took their present. For a few days, the Galaxy STUTTERED. Council meetings paused. Trade routes stopped. Auction houses shuttered in fear. No declarations. No claims of responsibility. Just one repeating line. Left burned into the walls of that fortress in molten slag. You built this place on stolen time. And now, time was up. The moon was called. KESH-7. It didn't appear on any standard nav map. It didn't have traffic logs. Its surface was barren, nothing but jagged rock and ion storms so dense. Most ships bounced scanners off the crust and moved on, but deep beneath it, half a mile below solid cobalt, was the last sanctuary of the known slaver empires. They called it Sanctum. 7 layers of energy shielding, triple redundancy auto turrets, self-destruct contingencies with ion blast. Fallback. It was built to survive a planetary strike, because the ones who ran it believed they were untouchable. They weren't. It started with the lights, not on Sanctum but on every station in the sector. Street lights, dock lights, personal terminals. Flickering, dimming, then a blink. Then a symbol, a chain, split clean down the middle, and every slaver watching knew they were next. Inside Sanctum, High Curator Mavrek paced the command chamber, voice cracking. "Contact Concord Command," he barked. "I don't care what it costs, get me an orbital defense override. Full emergency clearance." His technician looked up, face pale. "Sir, Concord Command isn't answering." Mavrek stopped. "What?" "No traffic, no bandwidth response, no system ping. It's like they shut the grid off for us." He went still, then another screen lit up. Private comm, untraceable. Voice only. Female. "Calm. You had your warning. This is your sentence." Mavrek's hand trembled. "Is this Earth? Are you military?" "No. We're what comes after your... Not worth the military's time. Wait, listen, I can trade. I have information, locations, other syndicates. You want value? I have it. You took children. You made people currency. There's no negotiation in that language." Static. Then silence. Mavrek turned to his guards. "Find them. Kill them. Burn the tunnels if you have to." The guards ran, but they didn't get far. One by one they were found, not ambushed. Found. Each shot clean. Not excessive. Not emotional. Every hit designed to end the body without damaging the message. Because this wasn't war. It was surgical memory. And the ghosts never missed. Ghost. One real name never confirmed stood in the core of Sanctum's archive wing, pulling data drives from the control terminal. His coat was torn at the sleeve, revealing black tattooed skin with GPS waypoints inked from shoulder to wrist, each one a freed colony. Beside him, Ghost 3 secured the corridor. Her rifle didn't shake. Her eyes didn't blink. She had a scar down her cheek from the early raids. Back when humanity still thought peace would protect them, they tried to erase this place. Ghost 1 said, sliding a drive into his satchel. Buried it under treaties and maps that lie. Ghost 3 didn't respond. She didn't need to. They both knew why they were here. Not to warn, not to negotiate. To end. Across Sanctum's vast chambers, the other ghosts moved like whispers. No screams, no fury, just precision. Room by room. Floor by floor. And in the vaults, some were still alive, prisoners, most barely conscious. But when they opened their eyes, they didn't see helmets. They saw the coat. They saw the chain. Broken. And they knew. One little girl, no older than 6, looked up at Ghost 4 and whispered, "Are you the ones from the stories?" He knelt beside her, eyes soft. "No." He picked her up gently. "We're the ones that end them." Mavrek sealed himself inside the command dome, breathing hard. One pistol. One fail-safe switch. The door was reinforced. A mile of metal and encryption. They couldn't get in. He told himself that again and again, until he heard it. A voice. From the shadows already inside. "That switch won't save you. Neither will the pistol." Mavrek turned. She was already standing in the corner. The woman from the feed. The one they couldn't track. Ghost 7. I have rights," he said, trying to sound firm. "You can't do this." She took one step forward. You sold children. You traded mothers. You told yourself it was commerce. She dropped something at his feet, a slaver's brand. Burned clean through. Still warm, Marek raised his pistol, shaking. Stay back. She didn't. She walked straight through the threat and stood nose to nose with the last slaver king. Pull the trigger, she said. Or listen. He didn't fire because for the first time in his life, Marek realized what real fear felt like. It wasn't pain. It was accounting. She whispered the last words he would ever hear. You built your empire on screams. Now you get to hear ours. The pistol fell from his hand, and he did too. Later, no wreckage was found. No bodies. No debris. Only a transmission deliberate, public, broadcast wideband from the ruins of the moon. Keshtar 7 no longer exists. Slavery is no longer tolerated. And silence is no longer your shield. Then came the line that would outlive every law, treaty, and flag. We are not soldiers. We are memory. And we do not forget. From that day forward, the slaver networks shattered. Some tried to run. Most didn't make it past orbit because the ghosts were still out there. Not hunting. Finishing. And across the stars. One refrain echoed where chains once ruled. Humanity uncovered the truth. And the slavers never stood a chance.